Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome again to Career Transition and EI, or should I say EI and Career Transition with Denise and Dr. Tara. We are elated to be back with you on a different day, Wednesday, but same time, different boost, with some more information to help you navigate how to really leverage your EI as you are in this career space of transitioning, whether that's up or out within the organization. As mentioned, I'm Dr. Tar, and Denise is with me today as well. And we're just going to kind of just jump right in to our Wednesday topic. Is your career a mismatch, or are you a mismatch in your career? And I don't think that you can start this conversation honestly without truly understanding what does it mean to be a mismatch? Because a lot of times, unless you've been in that recruiting or HR space, you may not really know what that means. And the foundation of that really goes down to an employee's skills, abilities, or experience are not aligned with the work that they're doing. It may be the position, it may be the task that they are completing each day. However, it goes a step further, and that additional step is there are two different ways to kind of look at it. One is if you are on a horizontal trajectory, that's a mismatch, meaning that I am an engineer, but I'm working in human resources. And I've seen these types of imbalances, I would say, doesn't mean that the individual or the organization will not be successful. However, you may find that if you're in that position, it's more of a challenge than it is in that role than it otherwise should be if you were actually doing the work that you have the skills to do. And the other piece of that is if it's vertical. And that just means that you are in a position and you may be overqualified for the role, or you may be underqualified. And so you see that many times when there has been a rush in hiring, and if you're overqualified for the role, meaning that you are someone with a master's or a doctorate degree, and the position only requires that you have a high school diploma or a bachelor's degree. And in other cases, it could be that I'm underqualified because you really need someone with 10 plus years experience, but I'm only bringing to the table 3 to 5 years. And so I think it's important that we just kind of lay the groundwork or the foundational information on what it truly means to be a mismatch in your career. Denise?
A fantastic introduction, Tara, because people will be feeling a mismatch potentially based on how they have been placed in the position that they are in. And sometimes that can give you that feeling of uncertainty, of doubt. It could also give you misdirection as well. Is it the team? Is it the leader? Is it me? And actually, when you look at it with critical thinking and consider where you are, then hopefully you'll realize that actually there is no judgment. It's not necessarily the fault of anybody in particular. But when you identify where you are and sense that actually the match isn't quite right, it then makes you start to think, right, I have got to then start looking at my mindset and my next steps for my journey. And how do I do that? Where do I then review and assess my confidence levels? Because I've been doing the job, I've been delivering, but am I delivering and doing the job with the best of me? That's one of the things that you could ask yourself, because ultimately you will sense that your natural passions are not being fulfilled. You will sense that your particular way of working is not quite right. And you will question yourself. So if you are listening to this and you are in that position, as Tara explained, where the match isn't right, and you are sensing these feelings where actually I am very self-reliant, I'm very self-confident, I have got lots of good relationships, but something is missing. So now is the time for you to step back and say, right, what is going to be the next step? Because you cannot continue feeling uncomfortable. You can't continue pretending and putting on that emotional mask that everything is okay and that you are matched effectively when you know you are not. And it can only last for so long, and it will only you'll start to see the seams, and you'll start to see the evidence of it by the type of work that you do, the type of ways that you show up in meetings, the way that you approach what are going to be the next steps for the corporate plan, for instance. There's going to be various ways that are going to be evidence that something is not sitting well. But there is a way out of that. So, Tara, do you want to describe some of the things that could be done in order for them to take next steps?
Yes, and that's a great question because it definitely depends on where you are in your career, how comfortable you are with really having the conversation. But I always start with being intentional. So
Mm-hmm.
really assess where you are, make a determination of whether you truly know that you're in a mismatch in your career. And once you do that, being able to find the right person to help you put together a plan is really important. However, in addition to that, it's really important to ask the tough questions because employers want to hire ultimately the best talent for these roles. And as I mentioned earlier, many have had missteps where they've hired too fast because they're trying to fill a role or put someone into a seat. But just as they're doing that, it's just as important as the candidate to be able to say no, have the courage to say no, but also to ask the tough questions on if you're really hiring me for the skills, abilities, and experience that I can add or bring to this organization. Doing a double check of the job description to make sure that those what they're looking for is also what you're looking for, because you have the autonomy. And again, you're in a position to also have this type of conversation because just as much as they're selling themselves to you, you are also selling yourself to them. And it is a push and pull relationship. And you ultimately make the final decision so that when you plan it out and you have kind of this map of what the type of position is that you want to have in your career, but also where the upward mobility comes in that position is really important. And it's important for you to know that on the front end so that you don't select a role or that you don't say yes to a role that is a potential mismatch for you. So it starts with being intentional. It starts with assessing where you are, having the courage to say no, asking the tough questions regarding what they're looking for and what you're bringing to the table, and then partnering with the right person, coach, whether that's myself or Denise or someone else. It's really important that you partner with someone who can help you design a plan to get your career to the next level.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, Tara, because I love the word intentional, because it makes me think about actually for those of people who are in that position, you can have purpose when you're intentional. You can have focus when you're intentional. And when you decide to use that intention to make a career adjustment, treat it just with as much quality and excellence as your own projects. Project manage it well.
Yes.
And deliver it well, because at the end of the day, when you have a great project that you deliver and implement, that's going to take you on the next part of your journey, your career journey. Yes. So don't be afraid to aspire and be optimistic and self-actualize. What are the goals that I'm really aiming for? How do I navigate getting through A to B to C? And don't be afraid of it at all, because guess what? If your director were to offer you a new project to start tomorrow, you would grab hold of it, you would assess it, plan, design, develop, deliver. So you've got to do that with your own career as well. Absolutely. So, by all means, you've got the opportunity to work with myself or Dr. Tara to help you along this journey. Please do check in with our LinkedIn connections. Please do connect and follow. We have got oodles, I use that word a lot, oodles of information to help you now. Get started now. Don't delay. Do something now. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Any last words, Tara?
No, it's time to take action and awaken your career. So definitely take the time to really to really assess where you are and then partner with the person that's a great fit for where you are in your career. Always great speaking with you, Denise. I enjoyed the time.
Have a time with you as well, Tara. All the best. Take care.